Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So since recently becoming single again, I wanted to make an announcement. I have now decided to go full on MGTOW. MGTOW of course stands for Men Going Their Own Way. It's a movement about empowering men, freeing us from the shackles of womankind, going out there on our own and proving that we don't need women in our lives. Men, we can do this on our own and be happy, okay? So I really want to share this with all of you. Oh, sorry, hold on. Yeah, what's that, Mum? Yeah, I'm just doing a video, Mum. Yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, could you get me a cheese and onion sandwich for lunch? Alright, and could you put my gym stuff in the wash? Alright, thanks Mum, I'll see you in a bit, yeah, bye. Hello everyone, welcome back to all of you in the Smelly Army. So today it's time for my top 10 fragrances for spring 2019. Really excited to do this video. So I've managed somehow to narrow this down to 10 fragrances. There were so many other great ones that I wanted to put in that I'm actually going to do a follow-up video, and that's going to be over in my private members club only. If you are interested in joining up to that, it's over on Patreon, a really low monthly fee, and you get one extra Mr. Smelly video every month. Sorry, that should be an extra video every week, not every month. And there's tons of videos now already on there that you can watch as soon as you join. What I think about Jeremy Fragrance. I did an answering questions video. So there's some really good stuff in there. And I'm going to do a follow-up video with about 7 or 8 honourable mentions for this one. So go ahead, click the link in the description if you want to sign up for that. But let's get into the 10 that I've actually picked here for my main top 10 for spring 2019. I'm definitely saying with this one there's no particular order. I'm not going to count down from 10 to 1. I think they're all equally great. That's just the way I feel at the moment, that it's a bit sort of fake to say this one's number 1 and that one's only 7. They're all pretty much equally great. What are we looking for in a spring fragrance then? Of course, the weather's stopped being as cold as it was in winter, when you might reach for your more heavy, thick, maybe sweet fragrances. So you're looking for a little bit of freshness in your fragrances, but not quite the transparency and aquatic kind of stuff that you might want in the absolute hot summer months. So of course spring in England can be very changeable. I'm looking for fragrances that are fresh but have a little bit perhaps of woody depth about them, some aromatic, some herbal notes, that kind of thing. And perhaps of course florals are good, because in spring the flowers start to come out. So a few floral notes in these fragrances would be good. So we're looking for sort of fresh, bright and breezy fragrances, but not the super fresh aquatic summery stuff. It's always a bit, you know, what does it really mean? Seasonality of fragrances, don't overestimate that. That's too important. It's not wear what you want when you want. These ones make me feel spring-like, let's put it that way. So the first one on my list is going to be one I really love, and I'm getting pretty passionate about this fragrance. I really am trying to publicize it a bit more, because I think it's not well known enough, as it deserves more attention. Milano Sentto Him, a beautiful barbershop fougere type fragrance. I've had a few people asking, where can I get this? I'm not sure. I don't think you can get it in America yet, but you can get it in the UK, and if you're in Europe actually you can buy it at Fragrance Direct. I'll put the link in the description below, and if you go in Fragrance Direct and click EUR in the top left of the screen before you go shopping, you will find Milano Sentto can be shipped there to mainland Europe. More importantly, how does it smell? It's fresh, it's got a citrusy opening, definitely a nice citrus breezy freshness I would call it, but after that there's a lot more to it than that. It's got, I think, clove and cinnamon in there, there's amber, there's a warming muskiness, there's of course lavender. It's kind of what you would call a barbershop scent. If you like things like Fougère Royale by Hubigant, which is a classic fougere fragrance, or Rive Gauche Pour Homme from Yves Saint Laurent, this is a brilliant fragrance, a little bit in that ilk, but with something unique of its own. Really nice performance on this one. Actually, strangely reminds me a little bit of Givenchy's Xerius, another 80s classic, and it's absolutely beautiful. So Milano Sentto Him, really advise people, if you can, check that one out. If you're lucky enough to find it to try in a store, it's well worth sampling. And you could go for the blind buy, because the price on that one really reasonable for 50 or 100 ml options. It's a niche fragrance, but it's priced even lower than many designer fragrances.
And I'm really excited to say, if you're in the UK, I'm doing a giveaway of a 100ml eau de toilette bottle of Milano Sentto Him on my Instagram page. That's going to be on Thursday, the 21st of March, the day after I'm uploading this video. So I'll put the link to my Instagram page in the description below. Make sure you go there. The other thing you have to do to be eligible is follow Milano Sentto on Instagram, and I'll put the link to follow them in the description too. It's only in the UK, I'm afraid, just for logistic reasons, but you've got the chance to win if you are there. A 100ml bottle, so check it out.
So that was my first one. Moving on. This is another great bargain. It's Eau de Rochas. I think it was a 1993 or 94 release. A beautiful lemon verbena opening. Reminds me of Creed's Neroli Sauvage, actually. And a real eau de cologne kind of citrus fragrance. But it does have a little bit of woody masculine depth to it as well. I think it's probably vetiver, maybe cedarwood underlying. This really, really beautiful, crisp, fresh citrus opening, and one of my favourite lemon verbena notes in all the fragrances that I've got, including really expensive ones. So definitely comparable to me a little bit to Creed's Neroli Sauvage, but with a little bit of depth and actually better performance. I love Eau de Rochas. It's bright, it's breezy, it makes me feel in a good mood, but it's got enough depth that it's not an out and out, has to be summer type of freshie. It's good for the sort of in-between month of spring. Eau de Rochas. Next up, something completely different. Now, I was sent this one free by the company, which I'm very grateful for, but my enthusiasm is truly genuine. This is an astoundingly complex and interesting fragrance. And this one is Colonia from Rasai Fort. So Rasai Fort is the man behind Fort and Manly, and they're a very popular niche company getting some real hype in the community at the moment. And he's got this collection which just has one fragrance at the moment in it, where it's called Rasai Fort rather than Fort and Manly. It's Colonia, and the fragrance apparently was themed after his childhood memories of spending time with his grandfather in fields out in Turkey, where he originates from, and the lovely smell of the plants out in Turkey, maybe some citrus groves and that kind of thing, mixed with the smell of his grandfather's cologne. He's recreated a memory, an emotional kind of image of that whole experience in this fragrance. The note listing is ridiculously long, comes only in a splash bottle, and you could maybe decant into a sprayer. Wow, it's just incredible. Really green and verdant and bright and citrusy in the opening. Luca Turin, the famous perfume critic, gave it a 5 out of 5 star rating on his blog and said he got a lot of iris in it. It's not even listed as a note, but I do get a little bit of that iris note that you may recognise from Dior Homme. And then really kind of warm, resinous undertones. It's very earthy, it's green, there's a sweetness in there, almost a bit of a dark chocolate hint in there as well. You know, patchouli, oak moss, real classic ingredients, and it's got a little bit of a sort of retro feel. It's fresh, it's green, so great for spring, but it doesn't smell old-fashioned or dated. It's got that sort of modern niche sensibility as well, so it doesn't have a grandad smell, although it does have the theme of Rasai Fort's grandfather inspiring it. Really, really stunning fragrance, and one that I'm so lucky to have in my collection, and I agree with other reviewers who've been impressed with that one. Moving on then. The next one in my list is a real personal favourite of mine lately. It's known as a sort of James Bond fragrance. It's Floris number 89. I think it was the favoured fragrance of the author of James Bond, Ian Fleming, and it's a very beautiful, soapy, floral, gentlemanly, old-fashioned style cologne. I think it dates from the 1950s. I think some people say Winston Churchill or also wore it. It's got a lovely, again, citrusy opening. A lot of aromatics, kind of herbal notes, a beautiful rose note in there as well, and a really kind of slightly stuffy old-fashioned feel, but in a very charming and affable way. Really nice. It smells like a really high quality soap, very gentlemanly. It could be kind of unisex really, but something about the sort of herbal aromatics, the greenness, makes it lean a bit masculine for me, and I really, really enjoy wearing this one. If you like things like Acqua de Parma's Colonia, maybe if you cross that with Habit Rouge by Guerlain, you have some idea of the kind of smell that you get with this one. Really, really beautiful, gentlemanly, classic cologne, some florals, quite dandified, and has that real sort of bright and breezy spring feel about it. So love Floris 89 in the spring. Moving up to date with a more recent release then, but I think sadly it's actually discontinued, but if you can still get it, the 2015, I think, release, Bulgari Aqua Amara, I think is a great one for spring. It's a citrus aromatic fragrance, a little bit aquatic, but I think it's got incense and patchouli underneath that typical Aqua, Bulgari Aqua, the kind of marine citrusy freshness that you expect from that line of fragrances, but this one's got more depth. It has great performance, a really nice orange note or mandarin, that kind of smell in the beginning, and really sticks around, and it's got this little bit of depth and masculinity and woodiness underneath it, and really nice performance. So Aqua Amara always puts a smile on my face. It's not totally aquatic, so that I'd think, well, it has to be a summer fragrance, so I think it's great for the springtime. Beautiful, freshy, and I hope you can still get that one, because I think they no longer produce it. I'm not entirely sure. Let me know, anyone who knows out there. Okay, next up in the list, I think we're halfway through. We've done 5, we've got 5 to go. I'm going to include an Aventus themed scent. Of Creed Aventus, of course, would be a perfectly good choice for spring. It's a bit cliched, everyone mentions it, but it's great. But I'm actually going with the newest, best clone, a lot of people think, of that one, and that is Parfums Vintage, Pineapple Vintage Emperor. Pineapple Vintage have tons of different variations of Aventus themed fragrances. This one has got real acclaim since it came out very recently. I think it was the end of 2018, and it's a beautifully balanced interpretation of the pineapple, the bergamot, the blackcurrant patchouli, and the smoked birchwood accord that we all know is what makes Aventus so famous and so classic. Most people are agreeing this has better performance than modern batches of Aventus, and it smells a little bit more strong, a little bit more full, perhaps like older batches that people seek out from 2011, 2013. I'm not an expert on Aventus batches, but I must say Emperor performs really well. It's not the cheapest thing in the world, but the smell is great, and it is really juicy, bright, fresh. It has that real nice pineapple, apple, bergamot combination. Perfect for springtime. There's an extract version as well. This is the Eau de Parfum. Not a lot of huge difference, and I find that the normal version, the Eau de Parfum, still performs really well, so either one. But yes, it is very good, Emperor, I must admit. Thank you. Of course, the company did send that to me for nothing, but this is my honest opinion. They also did mention, because I'm going to be doing an interview with Damien Stammers, the man behind Parfums Vintage, soon, and I mentioned that I would be putting this in the top 10, and he said there's a code, so with the code 15 you can get 15% off the Emperor or Emperor extract, and the code Emperor gets you $10 off the twin sample pack, so that's handy. Okay, moving on. The next one is going to be one of my all-time favourite fragrances, Colonia Essenza from Acqua di Parma. Beautiful citrus melange, a kind of fruit salad explosion in the beginning. Some patchouli, some rose, some musk, some amber in the base. It's fresh, it's kind of soapy, but it's got depth, and it's one of my favourite citrus aromatic fragrances. If you just want the essence of Mediterranean classiness and chic, almost a little bit of a slight barbershop theme, but more the type of Euro style barbershop fragrance where they tend to accent the citrus more than perhaps the English or American styles where they're a bit more shaving foam like. This is a really beautiful, simple kind of fragrance, but simple in that it's so easy to enjoy, and the smell is just soapy and clean, but there's actually a lot of complex ingredients, and there's a lot going on to make this simple, fresh, clean effect, and it's one of my favourite simple, soapy, fresh fragrances, and of course for spring, that's brilliant. It's got enough depth to it that it's not really super light and airy, so I'd say spring, if I had to pick one season rather than summer, maybe. It's a bit of an all-rounder, but for spring I will be wearing that one a lot, I can tell you. Okay, next up. Now, sorry guys, because most of you won't be able to get your hands on this unless you're very lucky. And this is Incense or Encense from Givenchy, a 1993 release, now sadly discontinued. Widely regarded as a really bold and daring fragrance. Loads of florals in this one. It's also got citrus, it's got blackcurrant, and a little bit of an aromatic fougere kind of undertone to it, this manly, woody, mossy depth underneath these beautiful florals. If I had to describe it really simply, I would say it smells like a fragrance which embodies perhaps the smell of spring blossom in the air. That literal smell, don't know exactly how that would smell, but in this fragrance I get that image of those orange blossom petals, that first day of spring when you really realise it's not cold anymore, the flowers are blooming. That is kind of captured brilliantly in this fragrance, and somehow it still stays kind of masculine because it's got that sort of fougere undertone to it. So Incense, if you can find it, is brilliant. 2 more to go then. This one might upset a few people, but the honest truth is I love it for springtime. This is Best Citrus Ever by Dua Fragrances. I've been wearing this a lot already since it stopped being out and out winter. It's a beautiful citrus aromatic fragrance again. Lovely bergamot and the usual kind of melange of citrusy notes in the opening, and then lovely spiciness, bit of lavender I think, and a kind of woody undertone again with this one. Very, very exquisite scent. It's actually their take on something called Iroir by the house of Henry Jacques, which is ridiculously expensive, but I've only ever sampled a tiny bit of that. This one, I have to tell you, absolutely beautiful, great performance, soapy, citrus, a little bit of spiciness in there, making it have enough depth for maybe a chilly spring day, but it's got that fresh, optimistic, vibrant feel. I love Best Citrus Ever by Dua, I have to say. Last but not least, and it was number 1 I think last year in my list, and again it's got to be in the list this year. I'm not ordering them any which way, but you could say it's number 1 if you want. Cologne Intense from Hubigant. An intensification of the typical eau de cologne style fragrance. Beautiful citruses again. It's got patchouli, it's got tarragon, a very nice aromatic note. Mate tea is in there as well, and incense. So it's got this really nice citrusy, lemony, kind of honeyed lemon feel. There's a bit of sweetness to me. It reminds me a bit of Dior's Eau Sauvage perhaps, and just this slight hint of more depth and exoticism under it, and a really classy, elegant fragrance. Really fresh, but it's got a bit more to it than just pure fresh transparency. It's got this mate tea, a little bit of there's sweetness in this, and something exotic, something you can't quite put your finger on. It's a beautiful, beautiful composition, a stunning bottle, and the prices online for that are really, really good for a quite exclusive niche brand. So that is one of my favourites for spring, and those were my 10. Don't forget to go ahead and check out the follow-up video with the honourable mentions over in my private members club. We're having a great time in there, trying to build a really nice community, and I hope to see you in there. But if not, I'll see you here on YouTube with the next video coming up very soon. Let me know what you thought of my list. What did I miss out? Please express your opinions. Thank you very much for joining me. Remember, whatever you're doing in life, let's project. See you next time. Bye bye.